Okay, step is the infectious pathogenic microbe has to attach to its host. And again, that's just another one of these things that kind of seems like common sense when you think about it. So step 2 will be adhesion, for a microbe to adhere to cells in the body or a tissue somewhere. That's attachment, adhesion. And at that point, that's going to probably allow them to establish themselves. They're going to stay in place and they can start to multiply their numbers. And as they build the numbers, then you're going to start getting damage. So adhesion factors are molecules on the surface of a microbe. So pretty much any kind of microbe, could be a protozoan, bacteria, virus, that attach to cells or tissues in some way. And generally they're going to stick to some kind of particular molecule that exists on the surfaces of cells or in those filler spaces in the tissue. So whatever the adhesion factors are attaching to would be host receptors. And yes, this should be reminding you of Chapter 5 when we went over viruses. Viruses have features on their surface, either on the capsid or embedded in the envelope. They might have those little spikes if we're thinking about an envelope virus. And we talked about how those attach to specific molecules on their host cell. So that's a type of adhesion. But this is a generic pathogen over here that's shaped like a bacterial cell, and these little green wrench claw kind of things on here are supposed to be adhesins or adhesion factors, and they're showing that they very specifically attach to molecules in some particular body location on a host cell surface. So some bacterial structures we've already talked about this semester: pili, fimbriae, of bacteria. Those generally occur on gram-negative bacteria, little spikes that tend to specifically attach to particular surfaces. Capsules can help with attachment. They can help with creation of biofilms, but capsules are sticky and can help with that as well. Flagella. So we're used to thinking about flagella as things that allow motility, movement, but some bacteria and some protozoans as well can use their flagella for multitasking purposes. They can use them as adhesion factors as well to help them stay in place at some location in the body. And then, as I mentioned, features on the surface of viruses can help them attach to their host cells as well. And another reminder about biofilms, and yes, we've got the gross picture of the plaque on the teeth. Biofilms are communities of microorganisms where they change their behavior and start producing sticky substances, generally rich in carbohydrates, that allow them to create a protective barrier around themselves. So it helps them hide from the immune system, provides a barrier to things like antibiotic drugs that we're using to try to fight them with. And also, these substances are sticky. They're generally carbohydrate, sugar-rich substances that allow them to stay in place. So again, think about plaque on your teeth. That's a great example of a biofilm. And when you go to the dentist, they use that horrible sharp instrument to try to scrape all that stuff off of your teeth because it's so strongly attached to that surface, it's difficult to remove otherwise. So think about biofilm creation as another feature that microorganisms can use to help them attach to surfaces. I like this little biofilm diagram over here because all these microbes created their biofilm, and it looks like they're having a party over here, and they built a tiki hut and grew a palm tree out of there. So they're having a good time partying inside that biofilm. All right, so that was a fairly short step. The next one, step 3, will be a little bit more in depth. So pathogens that are capable of making us sick, they've got to have some way to escape your immune system long enough to build up their numbers and start damaging you. Otherwise, you don't have a disease if you're not being harmed in some way. So the next video clip, we're going to talk about some of the strategies that microorganisms that are pathogens use to get around your immune system. It's always a back and forth battle, but pathogens have ways of getting around those early defenses of your immune system so they can stick around long enough to build up their numbers and harm you in some way. So that'll be the topic for video lecture 5.